So you are being keys, opening these portals. And as you open these portals, you are basically making way to higher dimensional realms, activating fourth and fifth dimensional realms. It is not a place that you are getting to. The fourth, fifth dimensional realms is who you are becoming. So it depends on the work that you are doing in your life. If you are walking your talk, supporting others to do the same, the portals are working with you, and vice versa. It means that there is also potential for physical contact with us and other beings of light as these portals continue to be activated.
Rubia Lacerda. That's my best Portuguese Brazilian accent that I could do today. But I wanted to start off with you. Welcome on Just Tap In and ask you, what are you most excited about right now in your life?
Hi, Emilio. Thank you so much for having me. I have to say, I am so excited to be here and to be here on your podcast and to be sharing the information that wants to come through, that wants to be channeled with your beautiful audience. I can feel the excitement as we were dropping in and the field was opening, and I could feel so much love and connection and seeing the best timelines for humanity. So I'm so excited for that. And the second thing I'm most excited about is just about the beautiful gifts of life that continue to unfold as I have learned how to trust life and to trust how life beautifully unfolds, to trust that and to receive the gifts that are yet to come.
You've said before that about a year ago that you embodied a new layer of certainty, trust, and knowing around the work that you're bringing through to the world right now. But first, you were explaining to me a little bit before that you had to go through a moment of darkness, let's say, a dark night of the soul, thinking that you were going crazy, essentially, already having activated a lot of your psychic abilities and your channeling gifts. What was 2023 about for you in terms of moving through a lot of these layers to come out on the other side?
2023 was really about accepting all parts of myself so that I could then also accept all parts of others and all parts of humanity, and accepting the parts of the darkness and of the shadow. And even though when I don't like them, even though when I have no control over them, to accept that for some reason they are happening, and to fully embrace myself in my own shadow. Because what was happening was I was okay. I felt happy and okay, and that life, everything was going well when I felt happy, when things were working out. When they weren't, and when I didn't feel okay, especially because I felt quite depressed for a few months, and there was nothing that would get me out of that state. I didn't feel okay, and I felt like something was wrong, and wrong with me, wrong with my life, and I wanted to speed up the process. And what I learned through, friends, mentors, and with life is that until I learned to embrace all that was happening to me and those parts of me, learned how to embrace the dark night of the soul I was going through, the depressive symptoms I was having, I was going to stay stuck there. And I was having this lack of acceptance for myself and also for the shadow of others. So it was really about fully embracing all that is, no matter how that looks like. And of course, I still will have triggers about certain things and why does it happen this way. Although nowadays I have so much more acceptance. It's so much easier to live life. Like when I said to you, one thing that I'm excited now, it's about the gifts that I will continue to receive from life, because even when it doesn't unfold how I may have planned and some things may go wrong, I'm still like, okay, life, you are making way for something that is more in alignment. And actually being in your podcast is one of those. Because I was
Mm.
meant to go somewhere, it was live, it didn't work out. And I was telling a friend about it, and she told me about you. And instantly, straight away, when she said your name, I just saw things like this matrix lining up, and life showed me here it is what is in more alignment for you. Because this other podcast, the audience wasn't really in full alignment to potentially receive trans channeling. It was probably going to come with a lot of judgment, I would say.
Mm.
Um, so yes, it was a very painful year, probably the most painful year of my life, but it taught me a lot.
Yeah. And I feel that judgment is a huge topic that we could open up around people that are activating their own psychic experiences and gifts, or even interested in these experiences and having them on their own. And a friend of mine, he explains that a lot of the judgment that we receive in our life is because there's an internal part of us that is still judging ourselves. So I'm interested to know, as you were describing that of, coming into more alignment, was there something that you had to stop judging about your work, about your life experiences, that then were able to manifest in an outward experience where you're not perceiving that judgment towards you anymore?
Yes, there were actually quite a few things. It's what are the stories that people will create when they see me, and that need to control? How can I show up in the world channeling so that no one will judge me as crazy? Which is impossible. It's just impossible. Even if I'm on a podcast where it's all about channeling, there's still going to be judgments. And there was a part of me that still judged the channeling, because there was a part of me that I was unconsciously judging channeling, as in, why can't I just give the messages to people, like share these messages without needing to bring through the Arcturians, for example. And what was happening was a lack of reverence for the work that I was doing, the work that I do. There was a lack of reverence for the beings and their ability to, come into this vessel, this lower frequency vessel, because for them it is a lower frequency, put themselves in this situation where they are supporting us. And as I saw all these layers of judgment dropping, I was able to now have so much more reverence for this work and for the beings of light, and especially for the messages that they bring through. Because to be very honest, there are some things that they say that I would have never said that. There are so many things that I trans channel from the Arcturians that I learned from them as the messages are coming through, that I never heard them say before, or I may not have heard it somewhere else before.
Hmm.
So what happened, because I dropped those judgments, I have now been able to channel with so much more precision, because the judgment is not there blocking them from coming through properly.
Hmm. It's truly beautiful to see that transformation. I'm excited to see a little bit later on the conversation how your own channeling, because I've heard it in other shows and your YouTube channel as well. But I know that what you're channeling goes way beyond just the label that we put around Arcturians, right? And we've heard many times that Arcturians are, an intergalactic race that has maybe inhabited the planet at some points in humanity. But for them's sake, and they've communicated with you that you should use Arcturian as the word, so the people that feel called in resonance to that energy will be attracted. So I'm curious to know, what is it about Arcturian energy, beyond just the label of who they are and where they're coming from, resonates with the people that are feeling drawn in with this material?
I love how you explained it. I'm pretty sure I have spoken about that before, of how that's how people resonate. And what I feel is that many of us here on Earth, we have lived as an Arcturian before, and or we also have the support of Arcturians like I do. Other people will do in the same way, trans-channeling or channeling. Some people may not even know. They're receiving through the intuition, how they feel, they're knowing. The councils of light are there with them, supporting them. So we have this connection with them because they've lived here before in another timeline. And we've been them. So they lived here and we've been them. Therefore, we have this really deep connection and strong connection with them, this remembering. For me, it was never new information. For me, it was when I heard, because I was already channeling them, and they just said, we are beings of light, you can trust. And I remember feeling, tuning in. I said, okay, I can trust. But they didn't tell me who they were. They said, you will know when the time is right. And there was a series of events that happened that I discovered it was them. When I discovered it was them, I remembered. It didn't feel like new information. And I feel like for those who feel connected with Arcturian, and when they hear, okay, we're going to get a channeled message from the Arcturians, and they get really excited, it's because they are also remembering a connection that they've had before.
Yeah, it definitely feels resonant. When I heard the term first, Arcturian and Pleiadian, I'm like, I don't know what that is, but there's something that makes me want to learn more. And I think that's the beauty of coming at things with an open heart and open mind, because as you were telling me a little bit before, we're going to bring through some decoding activations and to help people clear. And it's really about being open to receive. And, you know, I'm inviting everyone tuning into right now to already start calibrating themselves to open their space to receive any healing that needs to be coming through, any decoding. Before we get into that, I was looking through your Instagram the other day, and a few weeks ago we had this major 8-8 portal Lion's Gate that we've been hearing all over in this space. And I was reading your story. You were with my friend Matias De Stefano in Hawaii. You said, I had one of the most powerful experiences of my life. And I know being around him, sometimes words can cut a bit short when we're trying to explain what actually unfolded. But what were you feeling throughout this portal that was opening for humanity, and what shifted within you in specific?
This was one of the most powerful 8-8 portals that I have experienced. And I've been consciously tuning into them for the last 5 years, 5-6 years since I started actively doing this work. And I feel a big theme was a clearing of what no longer is serving, but it on a deep level. Inner child healing, going back to your roots and really, who are you being in the world? Like your life, your personal life, being a reflection of the work that you're doing in the world. So walking your talk. So for me, it was, I have a beautiful group that that I teach, and I bring nervous system regulation, inner child healing. So as we were taking them through this, I have another beautiful facilitator that teaches. Her and I were also being activated in them. We were also having inner child healing being activated. And there was a part of me that for a second put myself on a pedestal. Oh, but hang on a minute, where I am now, the work I've done, I shouldn't be going through this. And I was very gently reminded by my intuition and beautiful beings of light, Rubia, you're not more special than others. You are also a student. You are teaching, but remember they are also a student, which means that you can go through processes of healing. So allow yourself, embrace this process with much love, rather than putting a part of yourself on a pedestal, because that can actually block the healing. And this can happen for a lot of people. That's why a lot of the times you see a lot of people putting others on a pedestal or as seeing others as gurus, when we are all going through, we are all healing, we are all walking this walk together in some way, shape, or form. So for me, that was a big theme, and I had huge things triggered with my family in Brazil as I was traveling overseas, and I had the choice to turn my back to them and just be like a 5-year-old. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Just did this. And it was nothing. They're just doing things with their lives that I don't agree with, but it's nothing bad. And but it really triggered childhood things, and I had to, how do I walk my talk? It was coming home once again. So I'm in Brazil at the moment, and allowing these pieces to shift, and how can I best live, have a relationship with them without allowing the hurt parts of my inner child to run the relationship. So that was huge. And funny enough, it was happening right through the Lions Gate. And
Hmm.
as you said, I was in Kauai. I went to Matias de Stefano, Stefano at LA, and then in Kauai, and it was an incredible experience, just being in his presence, and humming together, singing together, and meditating together. Just really shows how when someone is so in their mission, there is no judgment, there is there's no thoughts, there's no corruption really in his field of thoughts of judgment, or what will people think of me or anything. He's full in his mission, and you can fully feel the expansion. And we really felt the expansion. And what he explained, which was so funny, is like the date doesn't actually matter. Because the date, this calendar that doesn't really follow the dates how we are, but the dates of the correct dates, if you were to say, energetically speaking. But what matters is that we were all coming together. We all knew that something big was being shifted. So with our thoughts, collectively, we were creating something new. We are creating something new. So the importance of coming together and doing what we did, and we were activating portals. We were looking for this lost ion. You may have heard him talk about this before. And I feel like something huge was truly shifted that day as we were in Kauai. We truly felt it, and I felt a big, big difference. It was a quantum jump into a different timeline for those who were open to quantum jump into a different timeline.
How has that quantum jumping or leaping looked like for you? And how do people begin to start accessing potentials of leaping into different timelines, a parallel universe, all of these sort of quantum laws that we've been talking about?
It's interesting because right before the 8th of the 8th, the days before, I was very upset with what was happening in my personal life. And when I made a decision, I said I had a healing with someone that works with nervous system regulation and inner child, and she basically was exposing to me everything that made no sense, that to me made sense, but to my inner child. And as she did that, and she did not for 1 second not take serious, but she not for 1 second gave meaning to my stories, to these stories. So she helped me see the stories, let go of them. And as I did that, and she said, I invite you to take the harder path, which for you right now is go and face your family, which is face your inner child. And as I made the decision to do that, and then I went to Kauai, so I took the harder path. I went to Kauai, and in Kauai, I felt the shift. And I felt different. I arrived in Brazil, I saw my family, and I'm like, what was I so upset about? It was because I couldn't access that old version of me. So in order to fully go to quantum jump, I had to access, which is, let's say, the higher timeline. I had to come all the way to the bottom. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sorry, there's some birds in the background. Can you hear me?
I'm like, they want to be on the podcast. They're like, if we have an animal translator or communicator, please tell us what the birds are trying to tell us right now. But they're adding to that beautiful story. And one thing that is a big trigger for people, as you were just mentioning, is family in specific. And, it could happen where we can go on these trips, we can go on these big activations, go through all these shifts internally, and then come back to our family, but our family is viewing us through the same eyes from which we left, or from which they know us as from childhood. It's very, in some moments, difficult to present ourselves in a different way to our family once, we've had these shifts. How have you dealt with that, and what would you recommend for people that are dealing with sort of family things and trying to fit into a different identity for themselves, but not being able to communicate that with their family at the same time?
Look, I have to say I've been quite lucky with my family, because they're very accepting, and they are, I feel like they truly love me unconditionally. So whether I was going through, a hard time with the decisions that we're making, and whether I then decided to be okay and come and visit them, they're like, "We love you and we want you here, and please be here with us." And I feel that it's hard for me to say how can others connect with their family on their level, because it's such on an individual level. But it's something I feel we've been able to cultivate. It's something that didn't happen from the start. When I let go of a nine to five job to fully step into this mission and start, okay, I'm going to do this full time. And it was difficult for my father. He kept saying, "You need to go back to a 9 to 5 job. This is crazy. You can't do this. How are you going to do this? Like, how is this going to work out?" So I had to keep going and ignore what they were saying. And once everything was going well, then now he never says that again. He would check my Facebook, and he would tell my mother how many followers I have and what posts I put on social media. Ask my sister, "Who are these Arcturians your sister is talking about?" But even when there was resistance, I just had to keep going. That was the thing, is to always keep going. And I just hoped for the best, and the best outcome has happened.
So your dad's a medical doctor. How would you explain to your dad what the Arcturians are?
Usually when I explain to people that say that aren't familiar with this world, I'll say, imagine like angels. I connect with angels. And depending if how I tune in, and if I can feel that I can go a bit deeper, I'll say they are like extraterrestrial beings, like angels. And I have done that with quite a few people. I was traveling through Europe. I met a lot of people, and I would just tune in where they were at. I start with, I'm a spiritual mentor, not because I am embarrassed to say, but because I want to meet people where they are at. So I don't want to go out into the world and tell everyone, I'm a channeler, if I'm not speaking with people that are familiar with this world. So I meet them where they're at, and as we continue the conversation, then I start dropping little things here and there.
Yeah. I've had the same experiences when people ask me, what do you like? So what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a podcaster. About what? What do you talk about? And then I tune in. I'm like, are they ready for it? Are they ready for it? And then if I feel like they're not, I'll be like, it's about like personal development. And then if I'm feeling they're like a little bit more out there, I'm like, it's spirituality. And they're like, oh, like what type of spirituality? And then if I feel deeper into it and they're more open, then I'll be like, I straight up talk to aliens. And I'm joking. But in the solstice you were telling me about just a few months ago, something big was uncovered for you. You were visiting Uluru in Australia. And I've heard stories of Uluru being, the place where you go to the indigenous peoples there, and they tell of their oral tradition that they were seated there by Pleiadians. So I'm curious to know what uncovered for you during that solstice, and what came through that we're also going to be experiencing some of in this conversation.
That was one of the most powerful experiences of my life. I was with a beautiful group of Brazilians. There was one Australian lady, 20 of us. And as we were walking around Uluru, I almost could see beings with, my eyes, my physical eyes. And I was still on a process of integration of my spiritual awakening last year, when my abilities had been blown open. So when I was walking around Uluru, I still had a tiny little bit of fear of seeing too much, because for months I was seeing everything. And sometimes I just wanted a rest, and I couldn't have a rest because I was blown open. So when I could have a rest, by the time that I got to Uluru, I said, guys, I just don't want to do it. Just don't. But I just couldn't control it. So could see spaceships, could see the being beautiful Pleiadians, Arcturians around the rock. It was so powerful. It was so beautiful. And it really helped me to get over the fear once again, because I never really had the fear. And both the facilitator and I, the facilitator of the group, knew that I was going to be doing a channeling, and we were there for 4 days, and every day, okay, today, and we're tuning like, no, not today, not today, not today. And the last day that we were there, the whole group was together. We were like, okay, it's today, because every day someone was missing. They would stay behind, sleeping. And that day we sat by the sacred waterhole, where women will go there to give birth. And it was a really sacred place. And as soon as we sat down, I remember thinking, oh my God, today is going to be powerful. And I just started guiding through the group, through like a guided meditation, to allow the Arcturians to come through and then bring a healing and bring connection. But before the Arcturians came through, I just felt this really strong energy coming in, presented herself to me, and she said, I am a Pleiadian Priestess, and I'm here to bring through some decoding. And do you give me permission to come through? Because I hadn't channeled her before. And as she came through, it was so powerful. And she brought a Black Panther with her as well. And what she was doing some decoding in the field, supporting the humans that were there, but also supporting humanity. Because I have been working with DNA reprogramming, childhood, ancestral healing, and reprogramming for the last few years on a very unconscious and subconscious level, and on a more third dimensional level. And what happened when she came through, she activated, she's like, we're going to do this now on an Oversoul network level. And it was incredible. Some people said it was like being in a plant medicine journey when she was coming through. And some people were vomiting. There were a few different things that were happening.
So I'm going to get my bucket. I'll be right back.
Okay, everyone, let's get ready for ayahuasca.
Get your buckets, guys.
Energetic ayahuasca. And actually, I have said with medicine before, and it's something activates. Now when you share these codes, some of that comes through, which is fantastic, because then you don't need to suffer for 6 to 8 hours and then integrate for a long time. And then after that, the Arcturians came through and brought the most incredible message. And what happened after? So since then, I've been activating with this Oversoul network, decoding, which really supports people to quantum leap into their ideal reality, which is what I was explaining to you before when we got kind of interrupted by the birds. I don't know if I finished saying what I was saying.
The birds had to share their wisdom. They had to.
I'm going to find out which birds they are that I'll message you about. They're very, they usually don't make that much noise during the day. It's more at night.
They're feeling that something's going on in the field.
Yes, 100%. No, they can. And so, because what I was explaining earlier, when the birds came in, and what happened also at Uluru, that the Pleiadian Priestess explains, is that as you clear, you go deep into the shadow and you clear what's no longer serving you, but you may have to experience that. You experience the pain, you experience the shadow, the sadness, the depression, and then you clear that out, you make space for new, and you're able to then quantum jump into that ideal reality. What I see happening a lot, and a lot of teachers also teaching, how can we just quantum jump? Imagine your ideal timeline every day. Feel like you're there. Let your body, like Dr. Joe Dispenza explains, let your body feel it like you're already there. All of that, it's incredible. And I've used that. I have used that. I've driven my old car like I was driving my sexy BMW like for months, until I was then driving my car. And I've done that. But what sometimes is missing on the quantum leaping teachings is that you have it to access, you have to go below, you have to go down in order to come up and in order to jump.
I would love to go a little bit deeper on explaining that process of the Oversoul network. That's a term that I'm new to, and maybe some other people as well. So when you were explaining that, before you were working on more of like a third dimensional level with reprogramming the subconscious, now the Oversoul, what's the difference there of reprogramming and decoding between the subconscious and an Oversoul?
So the Oversoul is imagine like a big umbrella where all then you have your soul, different versions of you in different timelines, so parallel lives and parallel versions of you. The oversoul is the big umbrella where it's everything is under that umbrella, if that makes sense. So it's
Mm.
the oversoul network. All versions of you, all parallel versions of you, all timelines are receiving, that are ready to receive that healing, will receive that healing. And when I say receive ready, I mean there were some things that I received in 2020 that I was only able to fully receive, embody, and integrate in 2023 after I went through a spiritual awakening. So let's say, oh, well, what if some versions of me don't receive it? And then it means that I'm not going to be able to quantum jump. So versions of you that don't receive now will be able to receive when they are ready.
Mm. Has the Pleiadian Priestess that came through in Uluru explained why either you or humanity was ready for this new process of decoding?
So decoding has been coming up a lot in the last few months. I know some other people that do it. And one of the things that does happen with plant medicine that sometimes can mess people up because people are not ready for that level of decoding. And decoding is like shedding, clearing, letting go, cleaning up. And what has happened is in the last there's a window. It started more, in the last 4 years. So let's say around 2020, it's when it started. The field of planet Earth, of humanity, really started to shift, really started to, let's say, upgrade. And as we have been upgrading really fast, we're having our, what I call the crystalline nervous system being activated. We are now ready to start receiving this level of decoding. If we did that prior to 2020, what could happen is it could fry people, including people that are doing, including myself. So it can actually be too much, and it can actually open people up too much, where people can experience like they're going crazy or they think they're going to die. And I've had experiences like that with, when I had my spiritual awakening. So I had to experience that to understand the seriousness of this work. And when I do it now, I do it with so much reverence. And I always say, for the parts of you that are ready to receive now, you get to say yes or no whether you want to receive this. So if I am, let's say, if I take your beautiful Ortiz through this today, I would say if you like to receive this or not, because it's very powerful. And because we are activating this crystalline nervous system. I'm not sure if you've heard of this term before, which means that is the nervous system that is actually ready to make contact. So in order for us to make contact, physical contact with beings of light, extraterrestrial beings, I don't like that term, but to make it very clear, we need to have this crystalline nervous system activated, because the third dimensional nervous system fries if it comes across. If one walks in right now, I'm not sure how I would react. I am in the process of activating the crystalline nervous system, probably not ready yet to just see a light being right in front of me.
Yeah. Well, we tuned in a little bit before, and we fell into the audience and ourselves. And I feel that we are ready to receive that. If you would like to sort of guide us through how we should best get into position or prepare for what's about to come through. And also, we're going to be bringing through the Arcturians after the activation.
Amazing. Okay, so what I would like to invite everyone is just to relax, whether you're lying down or sitting down. Usually sitting down is better if you want to be more conscious of what's happening. And for each and every single one of you receiving this, know that you have full choice whether you want to receive this or not. So you can tune in, see if you're ready. If you feel like you're tired and you're not ready to receive it now, you can come back and watch it again later. And the reason why I say this as well is because I want you to be fully sovereign and you get to choose. So tuning in and know that the parts of you that are ready to receive will receive. So it's basically closing your eyes and just allowing yourself to receive. So I invite you to, and there will be some light language that will come through as well. And because it is decoding, because we are getting right deep into certain parts of the unconscious and the subconscious mind in the Oversoul network, things that may have been there for a while, sometimes the light language may be a little bit more piercing. So being mindful of that as well. So with your eyes closed, just taking a couple of deeper breaths. And as you breathe deeply and slowly, just allowing your body and mind to relax a little bit deeper, knowing that you're safe and protected, and allowing yourself to receive this healing from the beautiful Pleiadian Priestess, beautiful beings of light. Allow yourself to receive this healing and let go and release what is no longer serving you. Whatever that has been there that may be blocking you, that may be causing some pain, in any level that you wish to release, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, energetic, allow yourself to release now, and that you are worthy of receiving. You are worthy of receiving. You are worthy of activating higher timelines of existence. And activating a beautiful golden light around your auric field. And let this be your cocoon of protection. And connecting now with your Oversoul network. And with the morphogenetic field of your DNA, releasing that which is no longer serving you. Harakoshiyata karnoyata urkoshiyata kornayata hai ayeshiyata rokoyota hai yoshiakarnotoya. Allowing the beautiful Black Panther to join. Let her show you the way out of the darkness. Let her teach you how to be comfortable there, to teach you how to accept all parts of you, to love all parts of you unconditionally, and clear out what no longer serves you. Dear one, let yourself know that you are worthy of receiving. Hurke ishit arno koyata, hare iashiata korotoya, haye shiata, harok ut anai iashiata. And allowing your field to be filled with love now, love frequency. As we continue with your permission to decode from your field templates of fear, of self-judgment, of lack of clarity and lack of direction. Let yourself in the next few days receive the clarity and direction that you have been asking for. Orrak ashiata kornoyata harke iya shiat arrok oyata shurrok oyana ayata. And let yourself receive these messages, this healing through time and space, all versions of you. And we invite you to, at your own time, sometime in the next few hours, to tune in into this ideal reality, into this timeline that you wish to quantum jump into, so that you can anchor in. And you are welcome to ask for our support, the Pleiadian Priestess, so that we can support you. Let yourself feel this light, feel this love. As we make way for the dear Arcturians to come through and have a conversation with you today.
Thank you so much.
Dear one, it is an honor for us to be here today. We are the Arcturians, and we would like to open this space for you to ask any questions that you may have so that we can have a co-creative conversation and hopefully serve you and your audience at the highest.
We appreciate you for making contact. And the first question I wanted to ask you is, what do you find the most fascinating about the human experience from your perspective?
Dear one, great question. What we most find fascinating is your ability to have this third dimensional body where you are able to experience so much, where very few races are able to experience, especially to the depth that you are able to do so. One of them is the feelings, the emotions, and the range of it, of love, of rage, of happiness, of sadness, and your ability, the body's ability to smell, to touch, to hear, to see to the level that you can. This is such a gift that we find extraordinary, that sadly at times we see so many of you just taking it for granted because it seems so normal. Please know that for beings like us from other dimensions, it is just simply extraordinary.
Would you agree with the notion that we are living in a simulated game? And what are some misconceptions around that, if there are any?
Well, dear one, simulated game is just a way, a perception, a lens that you can look through your human experience. You could also say human experience or just a life on earth. As you look through the lenses of simulated game, then there are certain ideas and other perceptions that will come with that. So for some people, it can be okay to look through as a simulated game as you can make it fun. How can I then control this game and make it play, make it the outcome work to my advantage? Whereas for others, it can be quite challenging. Well, if it's just a simulation, what is the point then? Or it can also create fear. So it really depends which lenses you would like to look through when it comes to being a simulation, if that makes sense.
Yes. And why are some humans drawn to staying in the field of feeling lower emotions that may be painful, that may prolong this notion of suffering that we have on our planet? Why do we feel drawn to these certain emotions if we have access to the full range of the emotions?
Dear one, we can answer that question through something that has happened to Rubia. She was once able to fully access another timeline where her life had no problems, no duality, everything was okay, and she saw herself sitting on a perfect house by the beach in the forest. Everything was perfect, and she was reading a book, and she remembered looking through these lenses now of her timeline now and thinking, oh my god, what a boring life. And she felt so bored and also conflicted because she truly wished to have a life that had no problems, no sadness, no conflict, although there was boredom when tuning into that reality. So, to answer your question, is because suffering gives meaning to humans' life, to a lot of humans. So, it is a matter of start programming yourselves with meaning, having living a meaningful life without needing to suffer, having excitement without suffering. Those feelings and emotions that you mentioned, they release certain hormones in your body also, which the body then gets addicted to. Then it becomes a vicious cycle of suffering that many parts of the human become addicted to.
Is this what creates sickness or illness within the physical body? Because would you say that without us becoming addicted to these emotions and lower experiences, would the body be in perfect health at all times?
As you shift into different dimensions, into higher timelines, yes, the body can be healthy at all times, and the body can also be healthy, and things can improve once humans start to find meaning in their mission, in what their soul is calling them to do. Because if there is no meaning, if they are not following their soul's call, their soul's mission, however way that may look like, they need to find meaning in other ways. And that can come through sickness, illness, conflict with others.
You've said that there were some very important portals that have been opening up throughout this year that will change the entire course of humanity's path. Can we go a little bit more into the specifics of the role of these portals in terms of our own evolution and our own path, and what we may get to know about them in terms of moving forward and utilizing them as catalysts?
Imagine that these portals, they they need to be unlocked, and each one of you are keys that unlock these portals. So, how these portals behave also depend on how humans behave. And humans such as yourself, Rubia, and others who are consciously aware of the mission that you are here on planet Earth, supporting humanity. So you are being keys, opening these portals. And as you open these portals, you are basically making way to higher dimensional realms, activating fourth and fifth dimensional realms right now where you are. It is not a place that you are getting to. The fourth, fifth dimensional realms is who you are becoming. They are keys, they get activated as you as keys. So it depends on the work that you are doing in your life. If you are walking your talk, supporting others to do the same. So the portals are working with you. and vice versa. And what this also means, it means that there is also potential for physical contact with us and other beings of light as these portals continue to be activated. So, to answer your question more directly, we say continue doing the work that you are doing, being very aware, very self aware of who you are being in the world, especially in your day to day personal life. Your personal life, who you are being when no one is watching, is has many answers to how the evolution of humanity is going and how the your own ascension is going, because that is usually the hardest part to follow through with healings.
When I was beginning this podcast, a phrase came to me that was all paths lead inward. And I've heard you say that all paths lead home. I'm really curious to know, what do you mean when you say home, and which paths are leading back to home?
Well, dear one, we like how you put it, all paths lead inward. The way we explain all paths lead home, home being unity. Home means coming back together. Home means remembering the truth of who we really are, being whole once again. That is coming back home. And we are all walking together on this path going back home. And what we mean that all paths lead there is to bring some calmness to your heart, that no matter where you are now, no matter what actions you are taking, you are getting to that place of unity. You are getting home. Sometimes some paths may be a little bit slower than others, but that is okay. We want you to know that you are always on the right path, because all paths lead home, if that makes sense.
From your perspective, seeing us in a third dimensional realm, where do we go when this physical vessel no longer can sustain its its life or battery, let's say? Where do we go after that?
There are many places where your soul may choose to go. It depends on what soul contract you may have. You may go back straight away to another physical body, being born as a baby, being in another mother's belly. You may go to a place of recovery in the heavenly realms, as some may call, and receive support as your soul recovers from whatever it is that you may have gone through on earth. And then you may go to other realms, other with other civilizations. You may come and be an Arcturian and come and then support humans as an Arcturian. There are multiple ways that your soul may choose to continue experiencing itself, although that depends on whatever soul contract you had even before you took this human form. And there are many books on your planet that actually talk about how it is on, as some of you say, on the other side, with very detailed descriptions of what happens, quote unquote, there.
Other than supporting humanity, as you are doing right now, are there any other roles or missions that the Arcturians are led to, other than just working with us?
Yes, we do have many other missions, some of which we are unable to explain due to the limit of your language. And we also work, what we can share with you, we work with updates of Akashic records This is something that we have been worked with for in your time and space for a long time, also maintaining the precision of Akashic records. And as you said, many other missions that we are not able to explain. Sometime in the future, we may be able to do so as you shift into higher dimensional realms.
What is your relationship to advanced technology?
Please tell us more, dear one, what you mean by advanced technology.
Yeah. As we're seeing right now going on in the planet, where humanity is beginning to experiment more with artificial intelligence, other sources of transportation, and we're exploring many different things that are allowing us to not be so involved in menial tasks and be able to outsource certain things. Is that something that the Arcturians have also developed, probably even more advanced than us, that we can know how you manage your relationship with technology?
When it comes to technology in the Arcturian world, it is very different of the technology that you have on Earth, as we are able to access technologies on a energetic level and command with consciousness. Whereas on your planet currently, you're not there just yet. There is also what is also required when it comes to technology. It's a level of integrity because it can be used for on your planet specifically good or bad. So it is a matter of being really aware of the technologies that are being created and how they are being used and how they are affecting other humans and your environment. Being aware, some things are just going to happen as humanity evolves. They cannot be stopped. So it is important to do the best you can to live with them and make sure that they are serving all without bringing too many problems to humanity. In our case, as we said, it is different because we use technology energetically speaking and we control it with our consciousness.
Will humanity eventually be able to also be able to control technology with our mind and with our consciousness?
Yes, there are some humans that already do so.
In what way?
Dear ones, there are some humans that are very advanced. Some will call them as almost non humans that come, souls that come and inhabit the physical body, that are able to have certain mystical experiences that not many have been able to do so. They are able to move objects, they are able to change certain timelines just with the power of their mind. This is very few, though. There are very few souls that have existed in your time that have been able to do so. And the ones that currently exist have been keeping this very quiet because they know if that comes out, there will be many humans who will want to use them, not always for the best outcome of others, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And was Yeshua one of these beings, Jesus?
Yes, that is correct.
And he had a massive impact on human consciousness. So I would love to also open up any insight that you may have around his lifetime and how he was able to, with these mystical experiences and gifts that he had, able to impact humanity in a positive way.
He did such a beautiful incredible work on your planet. And there is so much that he activated. Unfortunately, due to some misconceptions and religions, some things that could be more shared with humanity haven't been shared and they have been put on a pedestal. So things that Yeshua was able to do, some will see only him or angels or saints able to do it, but not everyday humans. You all have the access to the gifts, to activate the gifts that he had activated. And one of his roles was to show to all the divinity that lived inside of you as a projection for you to see the divinity that lives inside of you all as well. And we know that his message continues to live across time and space, and there is more to come. There are many channelers on your planet that are specifically channeling his message, and we invite you to listen to those messages very carefully, as in pay attention because they are very important messages. See yourself as he was seeing himself and as he saw you with divinity and with love.
Mm. I was going to ask you, what is your favorite message that Jesus left behind for us to really hold in our hearts right now?
We would say more a favorite behavior. Jesus put no one on a pedestal, and he saw all as godly divine beings. All beings deserved love, to be loved, to be fed, to be well received. And that is what we saw as such a gift. And as he said, if you all live like him, behave like him, humanity can ascend so much faster.
When you tune into the souls that are coming onto the planet right now, the next wave of children that are coming in that will be the leaders in the future of the planet and of the many systems that we will co-create, redesign, break down, and rebuild up. What are the roles of the younger generations and children that are stepping onto the planet right now?
The younger generations, the children that are coming through now are very, very advanced. And their role is to support humanity to truly ascend. They have access to gifts that humanity has not had for a long, long time. Sadly, many of them are being diagnosed with neurodivergency, that it is not a problem to be diagnosed, but then they will be medicated to a level that it can numb their gifts and abilities. So it is important that adults are also doing the best they can to nourish these gifts and abilities without the labels that are coming through, which are coming through for a reason and a purpose, to slow down the ascension of humanity, because these children, this generation, truly hold the gifts. They hold many keys that also unlocks the portals that we were talking about earlier and that supports the ascension. They are very, very wise teachers. Listen to them, and most importantly, ask them questions, because they have answers to many of your questions, even some of the questions you are asking us now. They will also and have already started to teach at a very young age, even younger than 10. They are already able to start learning healing modalities and also to start teaching healing modalities, because they are so pure and so advanced.
So in this way, the healing modalities will have to shift because of their energy of these children. What do you foresee are these new healing modalities that we're going to be seeing in the future?
Because these children are so advanced and the channel is so clear and they are able to work with so much precision, they are going to be able to bring through healing for certain things that have not been able to be healed before, and also maintain the healing. And correction, some things have been healed before, but not to the numbers of healing that will come through as they bring those healings through. So they will be able to support healing certain illnesses and diseases on your planet that have been labeled as chronic, or things that you may have been told that are not able to be healed unless with very toxic medication. They will be able to heal that very easily, although they need to be held space. Space need to be held for them to become the vessel for this healing to come through. And one of the ways is ask them questions, listen to them, and let them channel their wisdom, their healing, and their knowledge. And it is going to change the entire course of humanity.
If you were a parent to these children of light, or one of these children of light, what questions would you be asking them to, in a way, bring out that wisdom that is within them for us to know?
We would ask, how do you feel we can help the earth improve? And you may try asking with certain more advanced words. If you notice that some words may be too advanced, meet them at their level. How do you feel we could support humanity improve? What do you feel your gifts are? How would you like to express yourself? Do you feel like you can help me heal my body? Do you feel like you can heal your knee that you just hurt as you fell down? Questions, curious questions about healing, about supporting others, and about how they feel about their gifts and abilities. And ask them, what do you dream about? What dreams do you have at night? What dreams do you have during the day? What is happening inside of your imagination right now? And as you ask these questions, you will discover a whole new world. And please be open to what you may hear. Most of these children are okay sharing what they are experiencing. Some of them are not, though. So it is important that they are given an opening to share. And most importantly, is that it is received without judgment and without fear.
We're going to have to create a manual or book just about questions you should be asking your starseed child. I love that. It was very helpful. Thank you so much. One of the last things I wanted to get into with you, Arcturians, is you've mentioned before that there is a potential for humanity to end wars once and for all on the planet. What do you feel that it would take for us to move into that timeline where war is no longer an option, and we can return back to a more, let's say, harmonized way of dealing with our differences?
Well, dear one, that is really comes down to individuals. It is as the individual acts, who you are being then affects the whole collective. Currently, right now, there is so much going on your planet and humanity with a lot of duality. Wars are ended as some of you are ascending. Even if you feel like there is a minority, know that as you ascend, you are activating timelines where war will not exist. Because what happens is wars may always exist in certain timelines, although in others they may not. And that will depend on who each one of you are being on an individual level. And then collectively you come together to create that timeline, which you are already doing. Even if you feel like your collective is not the whole planet, however big your collective is, that is the most important thing. We cannot say currently at this moment that war will end anytime soon, although we can confirm that there are timelines where war is non existent, and that is dependent on the humans that are working towards that goal.
And finally, I wanted to ask you a more personal question. Is there any way that you could see that I can steer the ship of this show, of this mission, to my highest ability, to my highest potential, to be able to impact the whole in a greater way?
You are already impacting so much beyond what you know. You know some of it. Beyond, there is so much and so many people that are already being impacted on such a profound positive level. What we can share with you is that as you expand yourself, as you expand your consciousness and expand your nervous system and activate more of your crystalline nervous system, you will be able to hold even more, which means expanding the size of your audience and those who will be receiving. Therefore, sharing your message and those who are coming here to share their message even more. So know that you already come so far, and we can say, dear one, that it's only the beginning. We can also say that you are on the exact right path. And if you keep being who you are being and doing what you are doing, that expansion, it's not far away at all. Does that make sense and is that helpful?
Yeah, that went straight into my heart. And I just wanted to appreciate all of you for coming through and making this connection with us and being so open to sharing your wisdom and your light for us to really shift the trajectory that we're on.
You are so welcome. We are so glad to hear. It has been truly an honor for us to connect. And we are sending you all so much love. And until next time.
Yes, thank you. Welcome back. How are you feeling after that?
I feel good. I feel amazing. Yes.
Is channeling, how does it take a toll on you now in your physical body?
Usually after, like now, just I takes me just a few seconds to anchor back properly. But I'm usually very energized. But a few hours later, I'm like, I'm wiped. I just need to go to sleep and eat lots of food and sleep. But
Lots
for
of
a few
chocolate like Matthias?
I'm the opposite. I need lots of salty food.
I was going through your Instagram today, and there was a post that was really beautiful about resonating with your true soul frequency. And you even mentioned that before you post anything or before you send an email, you play some of your soul sound healing instruments, and then you sing your soul song. I would love to just go a little bit deeper into that, because I also have my own process of really getting into a space before I send any email, before I invite anyone on the show. I get into also that state where I'm able to connect with that soul frequency so that it reaches the other person, and it's worked. So how would you detail your process for also some people to begin to maybe implement that in their lives as well?
Okay, awesome. Love that question. So what I do, if I have instruments, if I don't, it's without the instruments. What I do, I connect to my heart, and I really feel like, I said, everyone that is going to receive, or if I was to message you for connecting with my heart, everyone who is to receive this. And as I connect to my heart, I feel my crown chakra open up, and it's like my crown chakra fully opens. And as I have it open, I connect with the souls. I said, now I connect with the beautiful souls who will receive this message, and those who will receive with their hearts, who will resonate with this message, to receive it with so much love. And if they wish to continue receiving or to explore it further, or if like I contacted you to have me on the podcast, and so it is. And I press send and release it. And then, if and then I'll sing. And as I sing, I talk about my soul song. And if I have my singing bowl, I harmonize with my singing bowl. I may have a drum. And as I sing, it's like the frequency of my soul is going out into the world through my consciousness, through my crown chakra, and connecting with those who want to receive, with those who are ready to receive. I invite everyone to do some type of process like this. It's very, very powerful, because then you are truly connecting with others on a deep level.
Yeah. It's like everything that we do requires energy. And if the energy doesn't have a clear directed path, then it'll just like ripple out in different directions and never really hit the target. So that's a little bit also what Joe Dispenza talks about, of having a clear intention and marrying that with an elevated emotion through singing. And I feel that singing is something, and music in general will evoke a feeling, evoke a beautiful emotion, and then having the clear intention. That's what creates our reality. So even from like a quantum perspective, when we talk about the quantum field, how would you also describe that process for people to get into a state where they're in the quantum field and able to access different timelines and possibilities in their life?
Oh my God, there's so much I can talk about the quantum field. Okay, I'll share what's coming up. So one thing that's coming up that I practice, that it works for me. Before I was living what I wanted to live, which for me was to transition from 9 to 5, do what I love, travel the world. And when I started to tap into that reality, it felt almost impossible. So there was a part of me that thought it was impossible, but I had enough evidence on my outside world through seeing others that it was possible. So I started to connect with the reality where it was possible, even when I believed that it wasn't possible. That was key. So what I did, I would connect with the version of me. So in 2020, I was connecting with 2023, 2024 Rubia, and I was seeing, and I was allowing the future version of me to give information to that current version of me. And how I did it was connecting it with those versions of me through the quantum field where all possibilities existed. Because all possibilities existed there, I tuned in into the one that felt in most alignment, and that I knew I was becoming the version that could hold that reality. So at the time, I was wishing for a certain amount of money. It wasn't like $5 million, for example, because that was way outside of who I was becoming. But as I started to become that version, so I was keeping it to a level that was uncomfortable, but not too uncomfortable. Sometimes I see people that have so much scarcity programs, struggling, always running out of money. And like, I just want $1 million, $1 million, $1 million. Okay, how about you start with $50,000 or $100,000? Because then that it's so much easier to expand your capacity to hold that. So it's connecting through the quantum field and with what you believe it's impossible, and letting the future versions of you to show you that it is possible, and then feel like for me it was feeling the feelings. I remember lying in bed and just touching everything, my pillow, my bed. Oh my God, I have a bed, and feeling the gratitude. Oh my God, I have all parts of my body, and I'll get so excited. I had tears in my eyes with excitement that I could see, that I could hear. So I would practice that elevated emotion, and then I would tune into that ideal reality, and I would see myself living that reality. Like I would drive my car. I made my life, I was intentional. I literally became, I don't know, sometimes maybe it wasn't healthy, but it worked. I literally became obsessed with this work. No matter where I went, no matter what I was doing, I was driving my car, I was listening to podcasts, I was driving my old car, seeing me driving my new car. I started kind of changing the way I dressed already, like my future self. And I would say fully tapped into the quantum field as I was doing that.
Have you spoken to 2026, 2027 Rubia yet?
I've had a sneak peek. Yeah, it looks very exciting. I'm very excited about the future because it looks incredible. It's amazing. It's like, wow. And there is a little part of me that think it's impossible, and I love it. I love there's a part of me that think it's impossible, because then I get even more excited, and I like to challenge that part of me. Rather than allowing that part to be the driver, I like, okay, I'm going to show you that we're going to do it.
Yeah. That's actually one of the reasons why I decided to and I was called to open up the podcast show with the question of what are you most excited about, because that sort of like recalibrates your nervous system to feel that arousal of excitement. And when we're excited for something, it's like, when you order something on Amazon and you know that it's going to arrive in 1 to 3 days, the day that it's going to arrive, you wake up feeling a little bit better. And then you start noticing, oh, like for some reason that day, things went better for me than the rest of the days when I didn't wake up excited for something. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like having to be excited about an Amazon package. Now we're just talking about, how about you get excited about your life? And I asked Dr. Joe that, like, what are you excited about? And he goes, I'm excited about life. I'm excited about me. I'm excited about, all of these beautiful things that are in the generous present moment. One of the things that I really wanted to touch on with you as well is, you said that we're on an accelerated path of evolution and our physical body has to catch up. And you've actually had to turn people away and tell them, hey, go sort out your health and then come back to me. What sort of things could you speak upon on getting people to get their physical body ready to the activations, energetic activations that we're having now, like we did today on the show? I know we're both not like health experts, but like, what are some of the sort of things that you're doing to get your body ready for this ascension?
And to explain a bit more, some of the people that I turned away is, and I have absolutely no judgments. Like, truly, I feel like people will change if they want to and when they are ready for it. It took me many years to stop drinking alcohol. It was such a terrible addiction that took some time. So I honor people where they're at. And what happens is, when people come sometimes to come and work with me, or like join one of the programs, especially when it's a longer container, one-off session, okay. But if it's a longer container, it can be a lot of expansion fast. So if someone that drinks every weekend, it's impossible, because the alcohol, it's not, I don't say low vibration, but it's more of a low frequency that physiologically speaking, you have to deal with. Like, it lowers your mood, then you have to deal with hangover, and then it slows down things in your body. So when you're going through these activations, integrating these activations While there's alcohol in the system, it can actually be like, sometimes it can do the opposite. It's not good. You may regress or digress. And so eating like takeout, lots of fried foods, really eating really unhealthy. So it's just it's for me, it's not an integrity to say yes to someone that is not looking after their vessel. To this level of eating healthy, moving the body, exercising, spending time in nature, making some time for meditation. And meditation for some people, depending, like when I was going through a spiritual awakening, I could not sit down and meditate. But what can you do? Move your body, dance, sing, doing your art, like practicing art in some way, shape, or form. Because then, and nervous system regulation practices. So basically, something that is keeping the vibration, the frequency of the body high, so that you can receive these activations and not feel like you're fried and then be in bed for 5 days. And that has happened to people before because they couldn't function.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things that I've had to hone in on like the spiritual journey is, when you're receiving such highly packed information and you're having your experiences and you're not looking out for your body, it's really difficult to ground that energy. And it's super easy then to stay up in that, space of like, not being integrated with any of these teachings, or not really allowing the energetic effects to take hold on the physical. Like, we still have bodies here, and that's why we're really here to bring in the light. Exercise, diet, that's something that we don't get too much into on the show, but I think it's one of the most important pillars is physical health as well.
100%. I agree. And at the start, when I started this work, I had to learn the hard way for myself. And I also saw other people when they would message me after a session say, "Oh my God, I don't know what's wrong. I've been sick for 5 days. What is happening?" It would happen to more than one person.
And then why is that they get sick?
Imagine like when we do an activation, like what we did today, especially with the Pleiadian Priestess. What happens is, imagine it's like you're receiving like a treatment, like you were receiving, you've taken all this energetic medication that may have some side effects as the lower frequencies are leaving your body. It's like when you drink lots of alcohol, as the alcohol is leaving your body, you have hangover, you feel dehydrated, you feel awful, and then you feel better. It's kind of like that. As your consciousness is shifting and changing, and you're purging, especially when you're purging. So imagine if your body is already working hard to purge the fried foods, the alcohol, the whatever it is happening there, because it's not moving, it's not exercising. Then it comes and receives this huge activation, and it starts to purge ancestral programs of fear, of disconnection, of lack of unity, of separation. And then it's like, whoa, that's a lot. And it can affect your mental health as well, because sometimes people I feel like I'm going crazy.
Yeah. And a little bit before that question, I asked you about 2027 Rubia, because I heard you speak upon that there is this portal that opened up from 2023 to 2027 that will accelerate our paths even more. And just to, leave people off in that sense of speaking upon what's going to be upcoming for the next, couple of years, what are you feeling into that will accelerate, our own journeys and our own ascension of consciousness?
What comes up the word that comes up as you ask that question is courage. Really activating. I don't remember if the Arcturians spoke about this. I don't think they did. Really activating your courage to take that action that you've been wanting to take. Really going out there and doing that thing that you want to do, even before you feel ready. Because that's what's going to change. That's what's really going to help us make the most of these portals that we are activating. And as for your audience, like as you have the courage to go out there. Let's say that you have channeling gifts and you really want to share them with the world, but you have fear of what others will think. Have the courage to start talking about it in some way, shape, or form. When you do that, you're the key. You're holding the key right now. When you have the courage to go out there and do the thing, it's like the key does this. It unlocks a portal. And imagine if all of us do that. So that's what happens in, these exciting years that are to come, that are coming, that we already entered these very exciting years. We are together unlocking these portals and activating on an individual level these realities, which then collectively we are creating these incredible realities. So together we are creating them. So I have to say, it's courage to go out there and do the thing without feeling like you're prepared for it, because I feel like a lot of us have perfectionist traits. So if you're a perfectionist, it's the driver. It's, trust me, it's never going to be perfect. I still have sometimes perfectionism, and I'm like, okay, this is not perfect. I'm going to do it anyway. Do it anyway.
It comes in for me, it used to come in quite a lot. Now it'll come in and I'll be like, hey, like, stop. But I'm feeling into this energy that someone might be saying, but I don't know how I can be courageous. Like, I don't look like these people, or, they're judging themselves on how their physical body is presenting themselves, or the way that they speak, or comparing themselves to other people. It's like, yes, but also look around you, and look around, like, all the people that you're seeing are reflections of you, and whatever you see in another person, if you're able to see it, that's because there's a space for that in you to be cultivated. And cultivated being the key word, because it'll be like, yes, I can see Rubia, and she's activated incredible channeling gifts, and I could just say, oh yeah, I have that too, but I have to water it. I have to try it out. I have to really take I think you've called it aligned action, to be able to hone that and master that in this life. And probably even we've mastered it in previous lifetimes, so we've already had a little bit of a head start. But we end every show with a segment called The Final Trio. And they're just little questions that we ask at the end. But before that, where would you send people to connect with your work? Are you working one-on-one with people? Anything that you're offering right now? What I would just love to open this space for people to connect with you further.
Awesome. So people can connect with me through Instagram. So rubia.f.lacerda. It will be on the description below.
Yeah.
And rubialacerda.com. Facebook as well. So I use those channels, and YouTube. And I do currently offer one-on-one sessions. And also I have a beautiful 6-month mastermind that is called the Ascension Codex, where we do many of the things I was speaking about today. So it's the nervous system regulation, we go all the way to the body, the nervous system regulation, and the Ascension, the channeling gifts, which is, I love it.
Beautiful. And it will be all in the description below. The first question I had for you for the final trio is, what is your own personal soul connection to the Arcturians?
I feel like my soul connection to them, it's beyond time and space. And when I remembered my connection with them, I cannot remember when it did not exist. So it's a timeless connection that I hold very dear to my heart. And when I went through a spiritual awakening last year, I was afraid of my gifts because I was too open. And I said to them, please don't go away, and I may never channel you again. And all they said, we will be here only if you want to. And they went away, and they said, if you ever want us back, we'll come back.
Oh, they left for a little bit.
They weren't making themselves present. I feel like they were there, but they weren't making themselves known that they were there.
Yeah. And what had to happen for you to
love.
Yeah, to reconnect with them.
I just said, I'm ready.
I'm ready now.
So after 5 months, someone beautiful that I've channeled for many times before, she connected and they said, we can come through if you're ready. And I said, okay, I'm ready. And it was very
And then they
emotional.
haven't left since.
Yeah.
Why was it emotional?
It was like a reconnection, like you have a falling out with a family member or a friend of a long time, and then you connect again. It was kind of like that.
Yeah. Even
Yeah.
tougher because you can't like give them a hug or anything because they're not in physical. I don't know. Maybe they manifested in physical form.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the second question I had for you is, what are the key laws or principles for quantum manifestation?
Oh my God, how long can I talk for?
The next 5 hours, we're good.
The keys for quantum law manifestation is becoming the version of you that is able to hold the manifestations that you want to have in your life. So if you want to, I'm going to use a classic one, be a millionaire. How does the millionaire look like, walk like, talk like? What are the conversations you're having? I don't think the millionaire you says, I can't afford that. The millionaire you says, I am becoming the version of me that is going to be buying that very soon. So it's like being very precise with your emotions, your thoughts, your words, and your actions so that you can manifest. And either yourself or finding someone that can help you to get to the root cause of the beliefs that have you say, I can't afford that, for example, so that you can shift. Because some things you can shift on a conscious level, many things you need to decode, to clear, so that you can shift on a subconscious and unconscious level as well. I feel like, in a nutshell, that's the recipe.
Yeah. And I love what you said also about opening our container. Because it's like an analogy would be, I used to drink water from like just like a small little cup. And if I wanted to get my, whatever liters a day that you need to drink to, be at your optimal whatever, I would have to go every single time, fill up the little cup, drink it again. And then it's just more effort. If you have a small container, you have to put in more work, more effort. And then now I just drink from like this, like 1 liter, even has like a sacred geometry thing on it. And I just have to fill it up maybe twice a day and less effort, but I can receive more. So that's just an analogy that came through for people. The last question that we ask at the end of every show is, we call it the time capsule question. And it requires us to travel out a little bit into the future, around like 15 or 20 years. And I chose out that time frame because I feel like that is going to be a time when the younger generations of today will be stepping into leadership positions around the world. And just like any great leader, they will need to have great mentors and guidance and teachings and wisdom. And you are given the opportunity to leave behind a time capsule for them that contains the essence of you, the essence of what you are here to teach the world. And when they open this time capsule, whatever you decide to include in there, they will be then equipped with the right guidance to be able to lead in the new earth. Now, it doesn't have to be anything physical. It could be like an energetic message. It could be a frequency, a word, or it could be a book, whatever comes to mind that you think will best equip these leaders for being able to lead in the best way possible in the future. What would you put inside of the time capsule?
I love that. And as you were asking that question, I get visions and words, and so I got like I saw the time capsule opening up, and then there was a scroll, and they open up the scroll, and they can read, the old school like Egyptian scroll, and the words that are written are live with integrity. And as you live with integrity, be a role model for the world to also live with integrity and transparency. And then I'm going to fully trust what's coming up. Also read the book Gene Keys by Richard Rudd.
Let's go, Richard. I love him.
So that book activated me to levels that I cannot describe, and it just came up. So I fully trust and share it inside. I feel like that book holds many keys that activates you on so many levels. And for the younger generation, it's almost like a manual to living like a life of integrity and understanding lives on so many levels.
Yeah, I'm going to be starting the Pearl sequence very soon with him, and yeah, I'm excited. Also, when we were talking with the Arcturians, they mentioned that there was like a list of books when we were talking about the afterlife. If you have any that you've read that you would like to also leave people with, because I don't know if they wanted to leave their own personal book recommendations or maybe some that you've read that could also guide people on life after life, which we got into a little bit.
So these books are in Portuguese. I'm pretty sure one of them there's a translation in English, so I'll send it to you if you like to put on the description. So in Brazil, like there are mediums, there are many mediums who they write automatic written books. So for example, I will write a book by someone who already passed away. And many of these mediums, when I was 16, I was reading these books about people that had passed away, and they would specifically explain how the afterlife looks like. So it was incredible for me to read that at such a young age. So I'll definitely share with you some names. I'll make sure that you can find them somewhere.
Yeah, and I'm also reading one. It's right here. It's called The Journey of Souls by Michael Newton. So I'll just leave that as well in there for people. It's very powerful. Rubia, thank you so much for just making yourself available for this and stepping into your highest timeline, your courage. I know it'll be a very beautiful reflection for people that are wanting to also activate themselves. And the activation, I would love to hear from people down in the comments what they felt during that. It was very, very beautiful, and the light language was amazing. So thank you also for opening the space for the audience to have that experience. I love when the podcast becomes experiential. That's why I love to bring in the channeling. That's why I love to bring in the light language, because it's something that people can feel beyond their intellect. So thank you so much. And I know we will be doing this many, many more times down the line.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Much love.